Saturday morning and the competition proper was about to begin. The massive concourse area had been alive from 6 a.m. with riders preparing themselves for the start of the fun class. There was to be a record entry of just over 300 competitors. Anxious smiles were exchanged by riders who were soon to be straining on the pedals to compete their 2 4-mile laps of the east-north site. David Newman, race director and owner of Outback, one of the major sponsors of the event, briefed the riders in the holding area before they moved forward to the start line. We were extremely honoured to have His Grace, the Duke of Somerset, available to give the opening address to the event and set the riders on their way.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure on this nice sunny morning so far to officially start this, the first race with our Union Jack. May you all try hard to achieve your goals, but most of all, remember to have fun. And they're off and running right now, already up front, 1,272. Mark Muddle making a clean pair of heels there to the rest of the riders. Neil McCartney right behind him. Mark Graham and Andrew Hunter right up there at the start. And all these guys streaming out as they head up from the start position up around.
Junior category right now, and down there in the middle of the front row of the grid, Richard Thackeray and the all-yellow stripper of the Pace Research team, and he's off and really racing from the start. Naturally, he's got the eye on that British Championship jersey, and of course there's a lot of other riders out there willing to take it off him today. And here they go, streaming away from the start, and meanwhile, back at the starting line, I've got Bob.
Yes, thanks, Greg. As the junior riders make their way to Cannondale Ridge, we've got the sportsmen. That's 200 riders starting off for a clean start. They've got 4 laps to do today. That's 16 miles as opposed to their 3 laps yesterday, and they're certainly all out to impress and win some very, very valuable and natty prizes. Within minutes, you can see they've spread themselves out over 200 or 300 metres, and if we look over now to the My Cycles climb, we can see just what it's like to be riding in a race with 200 cyclists. Now, back to the start area, we've got Greg with the sportswomen.
Right, the sportswomen are off now on the first of their 3 laps of this course. That's a total of 12 miles, and in the front row of the grid I saw Helen Edmonds, who was to do very well in the finals of this event. And going over the top of the tabletop right now, John Samways, and right behind him are other riders from the GA team. Looks like it doesn't prove so difficult as the race wears on. These guys seem to have lots and lots of ability, and certainly a great deal of technique. It's certainly warming up here, I can tell you right now, and lots of riders are starting to sweat profusely as they make it up to this section. The riders at the back of the course are going just a little bit slower. At this point, that was the junior class riders going through, and now we've got the sports class riders really filling in the rest of the echelon behind those riders. As it gets a little crowded on that point, people jump off. Meanwhile, here we go, that's Richard Thackeray there. He's the eventual winner of this event, and behind him, Paul Lazenby. Right on his tail, 2 of the best riders at the event during the course of the weekend. Ben Dale and Alan Gunner going through as well, picking the high route and the low route, and both of them through very, very comprehensively around that section. And here's another rider who's decided to run it up there, and he gets back on very quickly indeed. This rider is really straining on the bars, putting on a great performance, and the crowd appreciates that, and they give him a big hand as well. And here we go. Whoa, that was Mick Daly nearly cleaning us up just then in the camera position. And right behind him, Glenn Turner, riding for the Rocky Mountain crew, and he's over the top of that little rise. No problems whatsoever, he just jumps it up. There goes Mark James, riding in the Team Z clothing. That's the clothing from the French children's wear company. And 2 more riders nearly collide, and this one goes face down. That's a GA Cycles rider as well. Very big team, the GA Cycles team from Southampton. Anyway, the dust is rising on the course. A lot of the riders are really going for it, and there's one who just decides to go off into the crowd. Maybe he's heading off down to the pub for an early beer.
The sportswomen are doing well coming through. There's Helen Edmonds coming through the bomb hole. She's closely followed by Angela Hunter, who's proving her capabilities there. There's Tracy Hardcastle, and close behind her is the eventual 5th place, Rachel Gamble. further 200 metres down the course, we've got the outback catch-out, and there's Helen Edmonds as she comes round the soggy section to pull herself out. I know that's Helen Edmonds because I'm actually cycling right behind her and commentating at the same time. In second place, we've got Angela Hunter, who recovers after a fall, and she too pulls herself out successfully from the catch-out. Close to the camera there, we've got Adrian Sidford. She's just come through, and there's Tracy Hardcastle riding in the distinctive Fisher Mountain Strip.
So to finish the racing, the last riders head down Juggler's Drop, a real fast descent into the start-finish line. Let's have a look at the final results in the sports men, women's and the junior categories.
Race.
It's quite hard on a course like this. There could be like a group of 4 or 5 riders together on the first couple of laps, and then it starts splitting up after a few laps. But then there again, myself or Tim might make it hard right from the gun and just like split it up early doors.
Well, I'm pretty confident. I've missed a bit of training through my injury, but everybody knows about that by now. But I seem to be going all right last week, and I was going all right the 2 weeks previous to that, so all systems go.
It's a bit difficult. It's quite a long race, so you know, if things do split up, there's always mechanical trouble with being 7 laps and such a, you know, a little bit tricky work on it and everything. I think, you know, if you do have mechanical trouble, the basic just to stay out of trouble and keep on going, keeping a reasonable pace going all the way around.
Not necessarily too fast on the descents to try and not punch it.
And just pulling things back, basically, you know. Staying out of trouble is a, you know, a big thing.
I think it'll be extremely competitive. I think it's going to be a survival of the strongest at the end of 5 laps. But hopefully it'll be a close race. I mean, there's a lot of very good girls up there now, and it should be quite exciting for spectators.
Tim Gould and Davy Baker, in theory, should be going for first place, and then it's more of a battle for third place. But you never know, if they're going for first and second, then maybe I can capitalise on the competition between those two.
Well, I haven't been here long, but what I can see so far is really good. Last year was a very good event, and it's been put on by the same people, the same place, so I'm sure it'll be even better with the added prestige of a national championship.
And he picked the red lane, the fast of the 2 lanes. He's really going for it at the moment. And he's already opened up a good 10 or 12 metre lead over.
Right, this is the big one, the race for the British National Mountain Bike Champion for 1991. And already David Baker has shown a clean pair of heels to the rest of the riders on the front grid. Beside him, we've got Gary Howell, and beside him again, Tim Gould. It's been a great race already, and already these riders are starting to spread out a little bit, and we can see them now as they pass through the stream in Giro Drop, heading up to the My Cycles Climb. And on the My Cycles Climb, we've got Dave Baker, but right beside him there's that Gary Howell again from Olympia Condor. He's overtaking him on this stiff climb, and behind them Barry Clark as they head up towards the top and the rounding point onto Cannondale Ridge. Just coming into shot now, you've got Paul Hinton making a strong 2-3-4 showing for Rally. Well, the positions have changed just slightly now at the drink station, and already Tim Gould has moved into 4th position.
Down at the start of the expert men, they're well away, and they're away fast. A few well-known names we can see in there. There's Ben Wilson, James Hardy, who won the downhill slalom on Friday, Kevin Clark, Steve Hume, last year's winner, and there's Mark Gornall there from Manchester Wheeler rider, who I believe is a frequent winner of the Star Trophy events. So we'll see how he performs today. They've of course got 5 laps to go. That's 20 miles on this tough course, and plenty can happen in that time. So let's hand back down to the start for the start of the Masters race.
Right, here we go, and away they start already, and the big hot favourite out there, no doubt, is going to be Mick Ives. He's done it just about every year now. Mick's riding for the Scott Tourlake team, but Alan Winters has started very well as well, and as has Mel Haig. Now, they're already going down through the Giro Drop and be heading up very shortly on the My Cycles Climb. Behind them again, we've got the start of the Veterans event. Now, the veterans are riders up to 50 years of age, and this is a very big field here indeed, and probably the biggest field in the UK. The big hitters out there today, Dave McMullen riding for Cycle Systems and Les Lloyd for Overbreeze.
And the elite women are away. Very strong field this year. Caroline Alexander's had a very good year so far, so she's feeling like a bit of a hot favourite.
See the first of the elite riders coming through, and that was Barry Clark for Team Rally, leading out a rather strong competition from Tim Gould and David Baker, side by side once again, and both of them not giving any quarter. Now moving back across now to Mudcam, and we can follow the rider ahead of us and see some of the actions that's necessary to get you up this rather tough and stiff climb. You can see the legs of the rider turning over ever so slowly. It's a very steep climb indeed. Even the hardened elite riders will find it hard going on Commodore. Gould, however, is best known as a climber, and if he's going to get away, he'll do it right here. Still, there's lots of life left in those legs, looking at those riders coming up towards us right now. There's a whole mixture of riders, both from veterans and masters categories. Coming towards us right now in the red, as you'll see, is Alan Winters. Now, Alan's going to do very well overall in this event, and we believe he's going to come in the top 5. Going past us there, we've got Oscar Hopkins, and right behind him, the old stager, Tom Eisel. Right, we're going to pick the action up now at the bomb hole, and the first man through is Tim Gould, keeping his wheels pretty close to the ground, although still got a little bit of air at that point. Now, these expert and elite class riders are so good, but it's no need to take air, it just loses time, so they try and stay on the ground as much as possible. You don't get much action over here if you're a spectator. You don't find these guys falling off very often. Well, that's all part of being a good bike rider.
It has to be said, I think, that everybody is amazed at Tim Gould's recovery time from a broken collarbone. It seems only 2 or 3 months ago that he had that accident in America, and he's certainly performing now, lapping all the expert riders ahead of him. In second place, we've got Barry Clark, closely followed by David Baker. In third place, and then in fourth place, we've got Paul Hinton with Fred Salmon bringing up the rear for Peugeot. Of course, Rally team are showing very, very strong at the moment in Rally team formation. The lead group of expert riders coming up towards us. There's Stuart Marshall there, riding for the Magnum Race team. Tim Flukes, Mark Gornall, he's riding in the blue and white. Steve Hume in the yellow, he eventually comes in third place. And there's Jason McCroy and Dave Smith pulling up behind him. Not far behind them are another group of riders. There's Roy Brown and Chris May going through. And a bit further down the field, we've got some riders there, including Andrew Begg and Martin Lander. They're probably at one of the most awkward parts of the track at the moment. As they take the top part of the My Cycles climb there onto the Cannondale Ridge, there's a southerly breeze that hits them straight in the face, and if they're starting to feel a bit weary, then that's the place it will really slow them down.
Approaching Giro drop now, we've got Rufus Sidford and Graham Boutell going through. Graham riding in the vet category and Rufus in the experts. Well, Rufus is going to pick up the wooden spoon, I'm told. He's the last man in the experts category today. Meanwhile, up at the front, there's Tim Gould once again, looking as fresh as he was when he started the event 4 laps ago. Lots of action still taking place, and we're looking forward to seeing the next of the riders through in this category, and there he is. It's Fred Salmon, Tim Gould's teammate. What's ever happened to David Baker and Barry Clark? Well, rounding the lake now by the Commodore climb, we've got 2 Masters class riders coming towards us, having a really hot battle. Remember, of course, these guys are over 50 years of age and up to just about any age. Coming into view now, Sally Hibbard. Yes, she's leading the ladies category in the women's elite class and doing it in fine style indeed. She's well away from everyone else. Right, coming in the sight right now, Francesco Gamadoni. Yes, an Italian from Wales, of all places, riding in the colours of Schmooze Cycles. He's given it heaps up Commodore climb. And there's Mike Evans. He's a vet. He's taking on some fluid. I'm sure he needs it. It's been really warm out there today. And 2 more riders coming towards us. These are expert class riders. Looks like in the second place in the yellow, Alan Knight. Yes, riding for GA Cycles. And coming into view right now, we've got 7017. That's Ray Claridge. And behind him, Martin Lander. They're both moving pretty freely, as are these riders now coming into view. Seems quite amazing, but at the end of this event, after almost 20 miles by these guys, things are going so well for them.
And after 7 laps, there's Tim Gould going down his final descent. And would you believe it, Sally Hibbert finishing on the same lap. Now there's a bit of coincidence for you. Sally Hibbert looking remarkably fresh after 5 laps, 20 miles of grueling pace. She's kept a very, very good lead over the 2nd and 3rd place riders. So she too is going down for a final descent, and this is what it can be like from a low angle. Look at the speed these bikes get up to. A lot of controls needed as they rattle round the bends and down that final